Never alone. Although I was Andy's favorite toy, he had many other toys to keep me company whenever he was away. It was so rare to find us carefully displayed on shelves, and even after a good scolding, Andy would leave us scattered on the floor. One day, amidst the precariousness, my voice raised against a toy threatening to take this hot broad amongst them all. Her name was Jessie, and she always dressed like me, but the delinquent would always accuse me of being irrational and insane. It happened very often. He would constantly flirt with her. Apparent to everyone, he liked Jessie a little too much.
Buzz, you don't understand. She doesn't like science or space or guys that dress up in astronaut attire.
Shut the hell up, Woody! You're not the only one who has a Woody around here! So get your ego in check! She's the only broad amongst us! So may the best man have her!
She don't want you. You're no good. The cowgirl needs a cowboy. She's got a friend in me. So piss off and go after someone like Babyface over there.
As we argued back and forth, all the other toys circled us, whispering their thoughts to one another. Then, suddenly, the floor beneath us rumbled, and as we all braced ourselves, the door swung open, prompting us to freeze. Seconds later, a giant teen came marching into the room wearing his favorite green shirt and denim shorts. As he surveyed the floor, he crouched down and picked me up along with Buzz, suspiciously grilling us with his face up close. What was going through his mind, I wondered. It didn't seem like he wanted to stay around and play, so I admit his presence made me a bit nervous. Then, under his breath, Andy said,
"Is my mind playing tricks on me? I swear I heard something coming from this room. Must have been around or something."
Then his eyes scanned the room a bit further, before he finally gave up thinking about it and left.
"He sure picked the perfect time to interrupt,"
Buzz grumbled.
Hey, Jessie is one thing, but don't you ever talk about Andy like that.
Look at you, Woody. Would you stop sucking up to him? Whether you like it or not, Andy will give us up at some point. Besides, he probably bought us off eBay or a garage sale. How dare you, you piece of crap!
Enraged, I moved my ragdoll body towards Buzz, pinning him on the floor as I slammed my fist on his helmet as hard as possible, causing it to crack.
Do you call that a punch, Woody? I bet Bo Peep can do a lot better than you do.
And the fight escalated, prompting some of the toys to cheer for their best bet, while others cowered underneath the bed, afraid Andy would return. And as some of them suspected, Andy rushed back in, the look on his face suggesting he thought we were all moving around. But as the toys were motionless on the floor, I hoped he would let this pass and go about his day outside. Unfortunately, it was no longer the case. His brows furrowed as he picked me up. He said,
"I know you're making all that noise. You think I'm stupid?"
It was enough to shake my entire body, but I didn't budge. I had to remain as lifeless as a toy, because even though Andy was my best friend, he was never supposed to know. Furious, he threw me to the far end of the room, where I hit the wall before I ended up on the floor, still silent and immobile.
"Fine, have it your way,"
Andy hollered, as he stomped his feet on the floor and walked out of the room. The blow was so powerful that it knocked me out cold. Hours later, when I woke up, I noticed the other toys avoiding me.
"Why are you all looking at me like that? It's not my fault Andy came back. You should all be looking at Buzz."
I couldn't understand why everybody turned their back and ran away like they'd seen a monster. It was a nightmare. I was respected and adored by all these guys, and now it felt like I was their #1 enemy. It gave me the impression my face was deformed, looking like a deranged toy, giving everyone the creeps. So, I gradually approached Bo Peep for comfort.
"Hey, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. If there's anyone who'd understand me, that's you, Bo."
I thought she'd take my hand and console me, but all I saw was the horror in her eyes before she ran and left her 3 sheep behind.
Screw you! I liked brunettes more than blondes anyway!
I screamed like I never had before. Then, with all the fire within me burning, I charged at Buzz, clawing and chewing at his glass helmet.
I got you right where I want you! And just so you know, you've never had a friend in me! Stop it, Woody! What's gotten into you?
This isn't you! Get away from me!
The fear in Buzz's eyes was satisfactory. I had never seen him with that look on his face before, so it felt like I had won, dominating him entirely. Some other toys tried to gang up around me like I was some kind of wild animal, but it seemed my gaze was enough to push them back. I pounded his head constantly, nearly bursting a hole through it, when suddenly I was yanked by something enormous. Then, when I looked behind me, I saw it was Andy, his grin sinister and wild as he said,
I knew it! I knew it all along! You were alive! I knew you were alive! I knew you were alive!
Then, everything happened so fast after that. He gripped me hard, stuffing me inside a cardboard box and filling it with newspaper, which he taped shut at the very end. Moments later, I could hear Andy say something like,
This is perfect. Woody's gonna make someone's birthday or Christmas worthwhile. I'll make sure of it.
I was so exhausted that I passed out. Then, when I woke up, I was no longer in Andy's room. I was still in the box, except it was open. I could recall looking up at a pink ceiling and had no doubt it was a girl's room. So, as I crawled out of the box, I saw a bunch of Barbie dolls staring at me with a condescending gaze that then turned to a look of fear that would be etched into my memory for as long as I lived.
Who the hell are you? And what are you doing in our room?
Hey, I can explain. There's no reason to be terrified, I swear.
I tried reaching out to them, but they all wanted to avoid me.
Why so serious?
You've got a friend in me!
I woke up in a complete daze with no clue where I was. I don't know how long I'd been lying on the ground for, nor did I know how I got there. Everything was dark and dusty. I sat up and looked around, noticing that I was underneath what had to be a bed, except it was gigantic, larger than any bed known to man. To get a bearing on my surroundings, I walked to the edge of the bed and peered out to what was beyond it. None of it made any sense. There was a seemingly endless expanse of wooden flooring ahead of me. And all over the floor was a cluttered mess of children's toys, like the living toys from Toy Story, except none of them were moving. When I looked closer, I could see every toy had been slashed-gutted and skewered across the room. It appeared to be a giant kid's bedroom to fit the giant bed I was under. I didn't understand why someone would build such an enormous room. Who would have use for that? However, as I thought to lay down in my own hands for the first time, a disturbing realization dawned on me. I too was a toy. I then realized this room wasn't oversized at all. It was me who was small, toy-sized, and not the human I thought I was. Suddenly, a sense of panic and confusion took hold of me, and I marched out from under the bed to try and find some place that made sense. This bedroom looked familiar, like I had been in it before. Maybe like I grew up in it, but none of this seemed possible. I kept walking until I made it all the way out to the center of the room saying, hello, is anybody here? Hello? Then, out of nowhere, I could see Toy Story Woody colliding with me, picking me up and carrying me across the room at full speed. Before I knew it, he ran behind the looming tower of a laundry basket and threw me down in the center of a circle of several other toys. Hey, what's going? Quiet down, partner. We don't want it to find us. Don't want what to find us? Don't play Space Cadet with us. We know you saw it. No, I swear, I don't know what you're talking about. I bit my tongue and looked around at the toys that were staring down at me. I recognized each and every one of them from my childhood, but I'd never seen them like this. Woody and Buzz were agitated while the rest of the pack were trembling. Look, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen anybody but you guys. That's impossible! We know you saw him, you piece of shit! I don't know what you're talking about. I just woke up under the bed. It must have been there. Do you take us for a bunch of dummies? Hold on, Buzz. Ease up on him. He's probably just been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. But there's no use being paranoid. We're all in this together. Right, but what are our options, Woody? We can't just sit here. We have to... Excuse me, I'm sorry, but could you tell me what you guys are talking about? What's this it? You sad, strange little man. Your mind is completely fried, isn't it? Don't worry about his mind, Buzz. Use that big space brain of yours and figure us a way out of this mess. Alright, partner, listen. Don't let your amnesia slow you down when the time comes to run. You'll know it when you see it. It's an abomination, made by some lost cause ne'er-do-well who thought it'd be a good idea to surgically combine a robot spider with the head of a baby doll. It's It's got 8 ghastly legs of steel, claws for snatching lost little toys like yourself, a head full of razor-sharp spikes, and one all-seeing eye. What's its name? Those who see it and manage to survive long enough to tell the tale call it Babyface. All of a sudden, a wretched scream rang out. We all looked to see where it came from just as the body of the toy was thrown into the wall next to us. Then, Babyface came around the corner of our hiding spot and attacked. We all scattered and ran screaming, but that thing already grabbed 2 of us by the time they could turn around. I lost track of the group immediately and retreated back to the shelter of the bed as fast as I could. I hid under there and went completely still. I then was forced to listen to the pandemonium of all my favorite toys being massacred into oblivion, one by one. Woody was the last to fall. He tried to confront that monster in an old-fashioned duel, but his last stand was doomed from the start. After that, it got quiet, too quiet. I tried to listen for the mechanical skittering of its legs, but there was just silence. Out of nowhere, the claw grabbed me by the leg and ripped me out from under the bed. Now I was dangling in front of that thing's awful face.
I knew there was one more little plaything around here.
Let me go! Leave me alone or I'm calling the cops! It started playing with me, tossing me up into the air with one arm and catching me with another, flinging me all around like I was a rag doll. After getting flung to the floor, I tried getting up and running away, but I was too dazed by the impact. That's when the thing jumped on top of me saying,
"Playtime's over."
The last thing I saw before closing my eyes were the pincers about to tear me apart. But then I woke up. My heart was racing and I was drenched in a cold sweat. But other than that, everything was normal. I wasn't a toy anymore. I was a normal kid again, back in my normal bedroom. My collection of toys were scattered across the room, but that was always how I left them when I was done playing with them. That's when I realized I was out of the horrible nightmare. But then I felt something crawling on top of my head. A chill ran down my spine, right as a gigantic spider crawled down my face.
This story happened back when Toy Story was trending. Everyone at school owned a Sheriff Woody or a Buzz Lightyear, and kept raving about how they could swear their toys were coming to life when they weren't around. I wanted one so bad, but everyone knew my family couldn't afford it. All I could do was watch from the corner alone as the other kids played with their toys, always making fun of me and leaving me out. Hey loser, do you really not have a single toy from Toy Story?
No, I do.
Then where is it?
It's at home.
Yeah, right. Prove it. Bring it tomorrow. And if you don't, me and my buddies are gonna have to beat you up for being a lying loser. Got it?
Yeah, I got it. I'll bring it tomorrow.
No, you won't. Bring your mom instead. My dad said he saw her at work last night. Looking pretty good, he said. You know, if your mommy even loved you, she'd let you have a little bit of all that money she makes at the club. But I guess she doesn't. That's sad for you.
No, I have an allowance.
Aw, look at him crying. What a wimp. When the teasing gets bad, all I can do is ignore them and act like they weren't there. But after school, I was sick to my stomach, knowing that my bullies would make good on their promises to beat me up if I didn't bring the right toy to school the next day. The only problem was that I didn't have one. I lied and I now had to get one, but there weren't many places I could go to on my walk home from school. However, there was this one cheap off-brand corner store that I'd walked past 100 times. I didn't think they would have what I was looking for, but I had no other option. I went inside and started to look around all the shelves, but of course all I found at first were the usual convenience store snacks and drinks. After I was lurking and not buying anything for a few minutes, the cashier started to follow me around the store with his eyes. "Can I help you with anything, Chief?" I nervously shook my head no and walked away to hide from him behind the shelves. As I walked closer to the back of the store, I saw a dusty old shelf that had an unusual selection of antique-looking trinkets and knickknacks. I was too young to question why a convenience store would have such things, but I was too distracted to care, because I had found what I was looking for. There was a Sheriff Woody doll on one of the shelves that was still in its original box. In fact, it was a little creepy looking, but it was still the only thing remotely Toy Story that I found. So I brought it up to the cashier. "That'll be $20, kid."
I don't have $20.
I only have 5.
That's not enough, kid.
Can't you give me a deal? This is my lunch money. Please?
I'm not gonna bargain with you, you little brat. Now put that thing back and buy something that's less than $5 and get the hell out of here. That's when I took the woody and bolted out of the door. I ran until I got inside my house, where I put the box on my dresser, facing my bed. I felt terrible for stealing, so I left it and stayed out of my room for the rest of the evening. Then, to distract myself from my worries, I watched TV with my mom in the dark of the living room until she had to go to work and told me to go to bed. But when I got up from the couch, I saw the woody box facing me on the floor of the living room. I never told my mom about it because I didn't want her to find out that I stole, but it seemed like she knew about it and just left it there. I grabbed it and carried it back up to my room, putting it back on my dresser. I didn't think anything of it as I went to the bathroom to take a shower. Yet, somehow, when I pulled back the curtain, the woody box was in the middle of the bathtub. I freaked out and screamed, taking the box and bringing it back into my room. I racked my brain trying to figure out how it was possible. This time, I made it face the wall. Then I ran to my bed and pulled the covers over my eyes, completely forgetting about showering or brushing my teeth. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before curiosity made me peek out from under the covers. But I was relieved to see that it hadn't moved. Yet as I tried to close my eyes for sleep, I got this nagging feeling in my stomach. I looked one more time to see that the box had turned around, facing my direction. I pulled the covers back over my eyes and froze, convinced I was going crazy. I just wanted the doll to stop moving, but it was like a scab I couldn't stop picking. I had to keep looking. I peeked over the covers again. And now the box was open, and Woody was peeking over the edge, staring right at me. I was shaking uncontrollably. I knew it was pointless to pretend I was asleep. I knew that thing had to be alive. There was just no other explanation. So I looked again, and there he was, sitting on the edge of my dresser, just smiling.
Stop looking at me!
I ran over to the dresser and snatched him from the ledge. Then I stuffed him back in the box, and then jumped back into the shelter of my bed. From there, I could see the doll all tangled up with the packaging inside the box. It looked so uncomfortable. I laid back down for just a second, and right as I did, I heard the box tip over. I quickly looked back, but Woody was gone. The box was on its side wide open. Knowing he was loose in my room, I didn't feel safe enough to lay down. I sat up, trembling, looking all over for him, but there was no sign of him until... That's when a large, freakishly huge Sheriff Woody appeared at the foot of my bed. He grabbed onto the edge and hunched over me, twitching as I crawled back against the headboard, petrified.
You've got a friend in me!
This story was inspired by a viral video of a Toy Story Woody apparently moving inside a box. The footage was taken at a toy store, beside a toy shelf containing the Woody doll. Here you can see the Woody allegedly moving on its own. There hasn't been anyone to debunk if this was legit or not, but from the looks of it, it looks pretty eerie to say the least.